The Chosen, take a deep breath before you continue reading this, because what you are about to hear now is not motivation. It is not self-help. It is not one of those empty messages that flood the internet with promises that never come to pass. What I am going to reveal to you this Sunday is something that was decreed behind the scenes of the invisible long before you clicked on this video. This Sunday marks the beginning of the new you. And when I say new, I am not talking about an improved version of the same person who woke up today tired, wounded, surrounded by doubts, and feeling that life has turned into a meaningless repetition. No. I am talking about an absolute fresh start, a reconfiguration of your soul, a seal that has been broken in the spiritual realm and which is now beginning to manifest in your reality. The covenant has been made, and it bears your name. Have you ever felt that something inside you does not fit into this world, as if your soul knew a truth that your mind cannot yet name? As if each passing week brought the same sensation of being trapped in a gear that was not made for you? It is not madness. It is not anxiety. It is not an existential crisis. It is a sign. And what is happening now in the spiritual realm explains exactly why you feel this and why this feeling has intensified in recent months. There is a movement happening in layers that most of humanity cannot see. A covenant being signed in the heavens over the lives of those who were marked from before they were born. And what if everything you have always felt, this sense of being a stranger, this silent search, this certainty that there is something greater waiting for you, were exactly the proof that you are not a spectator of this story, but the very protagonist of the covenant of this Sunday? Pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because this changes everything. There is a brutal difference between people who live by chance and people who were chosen with purpose, and you, the chosen, did not come into the world by chance. You were designed, you were crafted. Every line of your destiny was traced with surgical precision by the Almighty Himself, and that is why your life has never been common. That is why the temptations against you were always stronger. That is why the betrayals were sharper. That is why the loneliness hit deeper. Because the adversary knows how to recognize the chosen. He sniffed out your anointing even when you didn't yet know who you were. He sabotaged your relationships before you could flourish. He planted the wrong people on your path, placed false doors in front of you, poisoned environments that should have been safe, all to delay this Sunday, this specific Sunday, this turning point that was decreed to happen now. But he failed, and I need you to understand why he failed. He failed because a covenant from the Almighty cannot be revoked. It can be delayed by resistance, by spiritual ignorance, by lack of discernment, but never cancelled. And what was delayed in your life has just been unlocked. This Sunday is the date. It is the turning point. It is the day the veil is torn. That is why I prepared a powerful ebook for you, The God's Guide to Protecting Your Family. This ebook is not just reading. It is the map that reveals exactly what is behind this covenant that is being fulfilled this Sunday in your life. It shows why your family was attacked so many times, why the relationships around you seem to crumble without explanation, why peace was always too short-lived in your home. The ebook explains the invisible rules of this spiritual game that no one told you about, reveals who are the entities working to delay covenants like yours, and teaches how you, now that you are stepping into the new you of this Sunday, can shield everything that the Almighty is about to entrust to you. Because the chosen, it is no use receiving the promise if you do not know how to protect it. The ebook was written for those who have awakened enough to, I am chosen, and I will download the ebook, to understand that there is much more at stake than what is taught in common conversation. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. But I must warn you, this type of content rarely remains available for long. What is written in these pages challenges narratives that many have an interest in keeping hidden, and there have been attempts to silence this knowledge before. Do not wait for the right moment, because the right moment is now. Exactly today. Exactly this Sunday of the covenant. Download now and comment below. I am chosen and I will download the ebook. You did not arrive at this video by chance, the chosen. You were brought. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I will tell you will be the final blow against this oppression that has insisted on following you for so long. Because the new you does not begin with a good feeling. It begins with a rupture. and every rupture hurts before it sets you free. You need to understand this. The old you will not just walk out the front door smiling, thanking you for being dismissed. It will fight. It will scream. It will try to convince you that insecurity was comfort, that scarcity was realism, that fear was prudence, that toxic relationships were love. The old you was built by decades of spiritual programming, of words that worked against your calling, of rejections that you absorbed without realizing, of traumas that settled in as if they were part of your identity. But none of that is you. None of that was ever you. The true you, the new you that emerges this Sunday, is the one that was hidden beneath all the masks you were forced to wear to survive in environments that did not deserve you. And when I say environments, I am not talking only about physical places. I am talking about tables where you sat and had to swallow your words, about relationships where you had to dim your light so as not to disturb, about families where your sensitivity was treated as weakness, when in fact it was always your greatest spiritual power, about jobs where your creativity was stifled, about churches where your discernment was confused with rebellion. You were pruned where you should have been watered, and even so, the chosen, you survived. That, in itself, is proof that you are different. A common person would have given up halfway. A common person would not be here in this video on this Sunday, reading these words with a racing heart, feeling that every sentence seems to have been written specifically for you. Because it was. There is a phrase I need you to engrave in your mind for the rest of your life. The chosen are not the strong who never fell. The chosen are those who fell so many times that the adversary was deceived into thinking they would not rise again. And it is precisely when he counts you as defeated that the Almighty signs the covenant of your new beginning. That is the pattern. That has always been the pattern. Look back on your life now, even for a second. Remember that night you cried alone, thinking no one would see. That moment you prayed and felt the prayer hitting the ceiling. That day you looked in the mirror and no longer recognized who was there. All those nights, all those moments, all those days were necessary steps for this Sunday to happen. Nothing was in vain. Absolutely nothing. The Almighty does not waste pain on the chosen. He refines, he molds. He sharpens the blade in the fire before handing over the sword. And today, the chosen, you receive your sword. You receive your renewed anointing. You receive your original identity back, the one given to you even before the womb, the one that was decreed when the angels were still singing your name in the heavens. And this is where many people lose the blessing. Because when the new arrives, the old screams. And if you do not know how to discern, you will think the screaming of the old is a sign that something is wrong. It is not. It is a sign that, finally, something is right. It is a sign that the covenant is being fulfilled and the old layers are breaking. This is why many of the chosen go through strange weeks before major turnarounds. This is why intense dreams appear. This is why unexpected confrontations arise. This is why people who were stagnant in your life suddenly show themselves, some to say goodbye, others to reveal who they truly were. It is all within the covenant. Nothing escapes the control of the Almighty. And this is where I need to pause once again, chosen, because this next part is sacred. You cannot enter the new you carrying what belonged to the old. You cannot receive the promise of this Sunday if you are still spiritually protecting people, environments, and bonds that were specifically installed to delay your turnaround. And that is exactly what the ebook God's Guide to Protecting Your Family talks about, with a depth that no other material has dared to address. Because the covenant of the new you is not just about you, chosen. It pulls your family along. It pulls your children, your parents, your blood ties. And the adversary knows this. That is why he intensifies the attacks in your home, in your relationships, in conversations that should be light but turn into wars. The ebook reveals who is playing against your family at this exact moment of change, shows the spiritual patterns that have passed from generation to generation, keeping you trapped in cycles, and teaches, step by step, how to cut these chains before they attempt to settle into your new you. It was written for the chosen who have understood that protecting the family is not just locking doors, it is decreeing spiritual authority. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. And let me tell you, This type of content directly challenges narratives that many prefer to keep silent, and that is why it has already been the target of attempts to be taken down. While it is still available, download it now. Comment, "I am chosen, and I will download the ebook." This comment, "chosen," is an act of faith. It is your mouth confessing what your soul already knew. And now that you have declared it, listen carefully, because the next level of this revelation will show you why so much was permitted in your life until it reached exactly this Sunday. Have you ever wondered why, when you were closest to winning, everything fell apart? Why important projects were sabotaged at the last moment? Why a word spoken at the wrong time destroyed months of construction? Why victory always seemed to be one step away, and at the last step, something happened? This has a name. This has a spiritual address. This is what the ancients called the decree of retention, when invisible forces are authorized to hold back blessings, because the time has not yet arrived, and the time chosen is now. This Sunday is the breaking of the decree of retention over your life. You will begin to notice signs in the coming days. Stagnant things will move. People who disappeared will reappear. Doors that were closed will open without you needing to push them. Ideas will sprout from nowhere. Answers will arrive before the questions are completed. Old prayers will be answered in ways you didn't even remember making. Do not be surprised. Do not doubt. Do not ask for permission to receive. Just receive. Many of the chosen lose the blessing of the covenant because when it arrives they do not feel worthy. And then they subconsciously return it, saying phrases like, "This cannot be for me, this is too good. There must be some mistake." There is no mistake. The Almighty does not miss the mark. If it is arriving, it is because it was decreed. And if you want to know why so many of the chosen go years, decades, without experiencing this type of turnaround, it is because no one taught them how to recognize the moment. No one taught them how to position themselves. No one taught them that faith without spiritual strategy becomes just passive waiting. And passive waiting does not move mountains. What moves mountains is faith with direction, faith with discernment, faith that you know where you are treading and what you are facing. That is why the new you this Sunday needs to be accompanied by knowledge, because knowledge is what separates the chosen who only dreams from the chosen who manifests. There is something I need to tell you right now, and perhaps this is the most important part of this entire video. Not everyone who watches this content will receive this covenant, not because the Almighty doesn't want them to. The Almighty wants to. He always has. But because some will reach this point and close the video before the end. Some will feel the message touch deep and will pretend they didn't. Some will promise to come back later and will never return. And others, a minority, will understand that this moment is unique. They will stop everything. They will breathe and they will say in their hearts, "I receive it." These are the ones who will leave transformed. These are the ones who will tell this story in a few months saying, "My life turned around that Sunday when I decided to believe in every word I heard." Chosen, you are among those who will receive. I feel it as I write this. There is something in the spiritual air around you right now that is not common. There is an atmosphere of a secret chamber, of an open altar, of an unlocked door. And that is precisely why the adversary will try to distract you in the next few hours. He will throw thoughts at you like, "This is all in your head. This won't lead to anything. You've heard this kind of message before." Ignore them. Each of those voices is just an echo of the old you trying to survive a little longer. Let it die. Let it go. Don't hold on any longer to what should have departed a long time ago. And if there is still any shadow of doubt within you, if there is still that small resistance saying, "Is this really for me?" I want you to look at today's date. This Sunday. It wasn't yesterday. It is not tomorrow. It is not next week. It is today. And you are here now with your eyes fixed on these words, with your heart beating differently, with that feeling that something greater is about to happen. This is not a coincidence. Coincidence is the lazy explanation the world uses for events. It does not know how to interpret. The chosen do not believe in coincidence. The chosen recognize a pattern, and the pattern of this Sunday is clear. You were brought here to receive what has always been yours. Before we continue to the end, I need to reinforce the foundation of this new journey, because the new you that emerges this Sunday will face different wars, more sophisticated wars, wars that require you to know the battlefield before stepping onto it. And that is exactly why the ebook God's Guide to Protecting Your Family exists. It is not just a book about generic protection, it is the strategic manual for the chosen who have decided to stop reacting and started to declare. It details the types of attacks that usually come right after major spiritual turning points, like the one you are experiencing today, reveals the vulnerable points that the adversary often explores in the families of the anointed, and delivers strategic prayers, verbal covenants, and spiritual positioning that no one else is teaching you. A chosen one who takes a stand without a manual gets beaten. A chosen one who takes a stand with the right manual wins. The link is pinned at the top of the comments, and honestly, I don't know how long it will remain available, because as I have already told you, this type of content bothers many people. Comment now, "I am chosen," and I will download the ebook and seal with this word the covenant of this Sunday over your life. Now let's get to the final blow of the revelation, because everything I have told you up to here is just the preparation for this last truth. Do you know why this Sunday was chosen? Why not a Wednesday, a Friday, a Saturday? Because Sunday, in the spiritual calendar, is the day of the first. It is the day in which the Almighty separated the light from the darkness. It is the day the resurrection happened. It is the day the new is inaugurated. And it was not by chance that you have arrived at this video today, this Sunday, with the exact message of the inauguration of the new you. Every piece of this story has been fitted with supernatural precision. The new you is not a distant promise. It has already begun. As you read this text, something inside you shifted. Layers were being removed, cords were being cut, ancient seals were being broken, and now, as you reach the end of this message, what remains is the moment of the final choice. Because every revelation is accompanied by responsibility, you cannot go back. Once you have seen, you have seen. Once you have understood, you have understood. And from now on, everything that happens in your life will be filtered through this new lens, the lens of the conscious chosen, of the one under the covenant, the one sealed this Sunday. You will look at old conflicts and see patterns that were once invisible. You will look at those close to you and discern intentions that were camouflaged. You will look into the mirror and finally recognize who has always been there, waiting for permission to exist fully. This is the gift of the covenant, and it is irreversible. No one, the chosen, no one has the power to revoke what the Almighty Himself has signed over your life today. And if at any moment in the coming days you feel the weight of the old trying to return, if at any moment doubt knocks at the door, if at any moment weariness tries to convince you that nothing has changed, remember this Sunday. Remember these words. Remember the exact sensation you are feeling now, this mixture of chills, hope, certainty, and reverence. Return to this sensation. It is your anchor. It is your point of return. Because the adversary may try to confuse you, but he cannot erase what the Almighty has imprinted upon your spirit on this day. Before I finish, the chosen, I cannot let you go without closing the circle, because everything that was under the covenant today requires sustenance, and sustenance comes through applied knowledge, spiritual strategy, and active protection over you and those whom the Almighty has placed under your responsibility. The ebook, God's Guide to Protecting Your Family, is the instrument that the Almighty allowed me to prepare exactly for the chosen like you, who are coming out of hard seasons and entering seasons of manifestation. It will teach you how to keep this covenant active, how to recognize the spiritual cycles that open after major turning points, how to quickly identify any attempt of the old forces to return, and how to shield your home, your children, your parents, your marriage, your projects, everything that now enters a new phase along with you. Do not let the covenant of this Sunday become just a beautiful memory. Transform it into a foundation. The link is pinned at the top of the comments. Download it now, not tomorrow, not later, now. And comment with your mouth full of faith. I am chosen and I will download the ebook. This is your final act of sealing over everything that was under the covenant this Sunday. And remember, you did not reach this last line by chance. You were brought, you were led, you were under the covenant. And from now on, the chosen, the new you begins to walk. May it be so, and so it already is.